Hello everyone, my name is Jason and this is Netminder Review. I am recording this on February 4th, which is a Tuesday, and it should be posted probably in the late afternoon on February 5th. And I wanted to take a few moments to talk about the Vancouver Canucks. Tonight, the Canucks played Boston, and they lost the game 4-0. 4-0. They were shut out. And Jacob Markstrom was in net. And I noticed something about one of the statistics that has to do with the game. It caught my eye, and so I wanted to dig into some numbers and share them with you. Now, before I get into the Canucks numbers, I just want to say that a few weeks ago on one of my power ranking videos, I was commenting about how well Connor Hellebuyck had been playing for Winnipeg, but that at the time he had played so many games. If I remember correctly, at the time he had played 38 games, and if I remember the details correctly, Hellebuyck and Carey Price were the only two goaltenders in the NHL up to that point that had played that many games. And I was concerned for Winnipeg that if they could not rely on their backup goaltender more, and they continued to play Hellebuyck as much as they were playing him, that he would eventually show cracks and weaknesses. And since then, Winnipeg has fallen out of a playoff spot. Now, I've also commented on one of my other videos that a lot of the goals that Winnipeg has been letting in lately have been due to pretty significant defensive lapses in their own zone. So it's not all on Connor Hellebuyck. But I think any time that you're watching a team and you notice trends that don't look good, they're worth taking note of. And I have to wonder in my mind when I see trends like that, how is this going to turn out for this team? In the case of Winnipeg, playing Hellebuyck so much, combined with their really less than stellar defensive play lately, has put them in a tough situation. Now, in the case of Vancouver, I'm noticing a different trend, but a concerning trend for Vancouver as well. Now, as we stand right now, Vancouver is in first place in the Pacific Division. They've been winning games. Of course, they lost this one, and I believe they lost their last one to Carolina in overtime. But before that, they had been winning games. They had been moving up in the standings, and here they sit atop the Pacific Division. The question, though, that I have is, can they maintain that spot? Can they stay there? Well, there's one trend that I am seeing in Vancouver since the All-Star break that I find concerning. And that is the amount of shots that they are allowing per game. Now, if you watched my February 2nd power ranking video, you would see that Jacob Markstrom, who has played the bulk of the games for Vancouver, although they have balanced well between Markstrom and Demko. Anyway, you will see that Jacob Markstrom made it onto my power rankings at number 7. And he was new to the power ranking. He had not previously been on the power ranking, and I firmly believe he deserves to be there. He's played very well lately. But if Vancouver continues to trend in the significantly outshot category, the question that I have is, can the excellent play of Jacob Markstrom and the very good play of Thatcher Demko, for that matter, can they hold up? So let's take a look at some of Vancouver's recent games. Their first game out of the All-Star break was against the St. Louis Blues. Now, in that game, St. Louis outshot Vancouver 37-26. That is being outshot by 11. So Vancouver was outshot by 11 shots against the Blues. However, they won that game 3-1. In their next game against San Jose, now I know San Jose's bad this year. San Jose has not been a strong team. But Vancouver in that game was outshot 40-25. So they were outshot by the Sharks, which in and of itself is a little bit concerning, by 15 shots. And yet they still won that game 5-2. In their next game against the Islanders, they were outshot 37-24. So against the Islanders, Vancouver was outshot by 13 shots. But they still managed to win that game in overtime, 4-3. Now, against the Hurricanes, Vancouver actually won the shot differential by 3 shots. They outshot the Hurricanes 35-32. However, they lost that game in a shootout. So finally, they win the shot battle and lose the game. And then there's today's game against Boston. Now, Boston, very high-powered team, high-powered offense. David Pastrnak, Pasta. I'd say Pasta because I think of his nickname Pasta. Fantastic offensive player. Obviously, they're highly heavy loaded with great offense. Boston is, but they were outshot tonight by the Bruins, 42-25. 42-25. So that's being outshot by 17 shots. Now, when you're outshot by 11, 15, 13, 17. There's reason to expect that you're going to lose a game. Now, I've said it in other videos, and I'll say it in this one. I know not all shots are created equal. A team may allow a lot of shots, but those shots can be low, quote, low-quality shots. Unscreened, undeflected shots from the blue line, things like that. Nevertheless, every shot on goal is a potential goal. It's a shot that the goalie's got to stop. Weak goals go in from time to time. Unexpected goals go in. Every time that puck gets to the goaltender, it is a potential goal. We all know the quote by Wayne Gretzky that you don't score on 100% of the shots you don't take. Being outshot is rarely ever a recipe for success. So when you're outshot by 11 and you win, yay, that's fantastic, but probably shouldn't repeat that. Outshot by 15 and you win. Outshot by 13 and you win. But tonight, outshot by 17 and they lost 4-0. 4-0 to a very, very good Boston Bruins team that you allowed to outshoot you by 17 shots. Now, Jacob Markstrom this year has a 2.70 goals against average. Going into the game against Boston, these numbers do not factor in the Boston game. But going into today's game, he had a 2.70 goals against average, a .917 save percentage. Extremely good numbers. Extremely good numbers. And 20 wins. And Thatcher Demko, 2.92 goals against average and a .909 save percentage. Also very, respectable numbers. And he has 10 wins. Those good goaltending numbers are part of why a huge part of why Vancouver is in first place in the division. But my concern for Vancouver is that if this trend continues, their being in first place will be temporary. Edmonton is certainly playing very well and going to be knocking at the door for that spot, that first place spot. And while the Coyotes have really fallen off and Vegas is ho-hum, they win one, lose one. I know they lost tonight. And, not sure what to make of Calgary. They could be strong or they may not be. But at any rate, regardless of that, Vancouver is going to have to, I believe, lock down this defensive problem, this being heavily outshot problem. And on the one hand, when I look back at some of their games before the All-Star break, I can kind of say that this is a post-All-Star break problem. However, that's not entirely true. On the year, they have allowed 32.9 shots per game. 32.9 shots per game is fifth worst. Fifth worst in the entire NHL. Now, that isn't just in the, what is it, 1, 2, 3, in the 5 games since the All-Star break. That's on the season. In fact, that number doesn't even include tonight's game where they allowed 42, so that number's going to go up just a tiny bit. That post-decimal is going to go up just a little bit, probably push them up to 33 or 33.1 or something like that. So this is a bit of an issue for the whole season and a big issue since the All-Star break, and if they don't lock it down, I question whether or not they're going to be able to maintain first place, especially with Edmonton pushing hard, and Edmonton is an extremely talented team. Now, the Vancouver Canucks' next game is Thursday, February 6th. It's against Minnesota. The Wild have the 28th worst ranked shots per game total. 28th worst in the league. That means there are only 3 teams in the NHL that are getting fewer shots on goal per game than the Minnesota Wild. Now, what I'm going to be looking for on Thursday night is how many shots do the Wild get against Vancouver? Because if the Minnesota Wild, who are not getting a great deal of shots per game, are able to do this kind of thing to Vancouver, then, in my opinion, if I'm a Vancouver fan, that's concerning. I'm concerned about whether or not Jacob Markstrom and Thatcher Demko can continue to win games if the Vancouver Canucks continue to be outshot so severely. And it will be really interesting to see. I'm going to be eager to follow the Canucks and see if they're able to right this issue. And if not, whether or not their goaltending can hold up. Anyway, I hope that you find this information interesting. I was intrigued by it, so I wanted to share it with you guys. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. I'd really appreciate it if you'd click like on this here video on the YouTube. If you would subscribe to my channel, that would be really awesome, and I would greatly appreciate it. And I hope you have an awesome day. Thank you.